उल्लंघ्य सिंधोः सलिलं सलीलं यशोकवह्निं जनकात्मजायाः आदाय तेनैव ददाह लंकां नमामिदं प्राञ्जलिराञ्जनेयम् मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वम् अरोगता अजाट्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। सुंदराकांड. What a beautiful name for the beautiful kandam of Srimad Ramayana. It is very interesting indeed that Valmiki chose to name this kanda as Sundarakanda. All the other kandas of Ramayana are named after the place where the events occurred or the nature of the events that occurred. Balakanda, Yuddhakanda, based on the nature of the events. Ayodhya Kanda, Kishkinda Kanda, Aranya Kanda. The names are based on the places where the events occurred. But somehow Valmiki decided to name this particular kanda as Sundarakanda. So there has to be a reason for this. In fact, there is not a single reason, there are many reasons. It is in this kanda that we find enthralling descriptions of several immaculately beautiful objects, places. Demonstration of Valmiki Maharshi's preeminent, phenomenal prowess in his communication. An outpouring of peerless poetry, be it description, portrayal of the beautiful kingdom of Lanka, description of various unique objects like Pushpaka Vimana, the serene environment, natural phenomenon like moonrise, or the beauty of the Ashoka Vatika. We see several enthralling descriptions. Every shloka in this kanda demonstrates fearless poetry of Valmiki. No wonder it is called Sundarakanda. It is also Sundarakanda because it is in this kanda the superhero Ramabhakta Hanuman gets extensive attention. His extraordinarily and extremely beautiful actions and activities are captured in this very kanda. Hanuman is also a Sundara, Kanchanadri Kamaniya Vigraham. He is no doubt a Sundara, the most beautiful. Not only external beauty, Hanuman is also known for his internal beauty, the one with a beautiful mind, a mind that is filled with Rama, has to be beautiful. Therefore, this Kanda, which captures the exploits of the Sundara, is aptly called Sundara Kanda. Also, when we get to relish the divine qualities of Bhagavan, his various Kalyana Gunas, then it has to be Sundara. It is in this Kanda that we also get to relish Rama's beautiful gunas and his boundless compassion. Also, his Divya Mangala Vigraha is also beautifully explained. Therefore, this Kanda is aptly called Sundara Kanda. This Kanda is Sundara Kanda also because it is in this Kanda that we get to experience and relish the character in all its depth and glory of Sita Mata. The glory of gold that glitters even more when it is passed through fire. Ramayana originally was called Sitaya Charitam Mahat. It is more of Sita's glory that Ramayana was intended to convey. The true hero of Ramayana, more than Rama, is Sita. Sitayam Charitam Mahat. It is her charitra. But it is in this Kanda that we get to relish her character, her noble character. It is here in this Kanda that Valmiki vividly, graphically captures Mother Sita's travails amidst all the Rakshasis in Ashoka Vatika. Her encounter with the dastardly Ravana. Her words of advice to her own abductor to surrender, encouraging him to surrender to Rama. Her conversation, beautiful conversation with Hanuman. The reassurance that she gets that her rescue is imminent. And her blessings that she bountifully gives to Hanuman. This is the Kanda of the Loka Sundari, the Loka Mata, and therefore it is aptly called Sundara Kanda. It is also Sundara Kanda because this is in this Kanda the beauty of life is also captured. Mother Sita represents the quintessential Jivatma, waiting for union with the Paramatma. The Paramatma, Bhagavan Ramachandra, sends the Acharya to the Jivatma. Hanuman is the Acharya. Lanka symbolizes samsara, in which the Jivatma is caught. And the Acharya enables the union of the Jivatma with the Paramatma by burning the samsara with the fire of knowledge. This is the beautiful journey of life. And Sundarakanda captures this beautiful journey. And no wonder it is aptly called Sundarakanda. Therefore, many say, Sundare Sundaro Ramaha, Sundare Sundari Katha, Sundare Sundari Sita, Sundare Sundaram Vanam, Sundare Sundaram Kavyam, Sundare Sundaram Kapihi, Sundare Sundaram Mantram, Sundare Kimna Sundaram, Sundare Kimna Sundaram. Everything about this kanda is Sundara. What is not Sundara in this kanda? The challenge that we all face is when we embark on this beautiful journey called Sundarakanda is what to leave out. Because every word, every shloka, every incident, every experience is so very Sundara. Everything about this kanda is Sundara, and therefore this is aptly called Sundarakanda. Now, as we embark on this journey and as we relish Hanuman's journey across the ocean, we get one very important life lesson. A lesson on the benefit of constantly remembering Bhagavan, constantly remembering Rama through the Rama Nama. His glorious Nama empowers us to face any problem, to face all kinds of problems. We may ask how remembrance of Ramanama can help us surmount problems. As we journey through the Sundarakanda, we get to know that by constantly remembering Ramanama, contemplating on Ramanama, we are also constantly reassured. We are constantly reassured of all security, all protection. By contemplating on his Nama and through his Nama on the controllership of Bhagavan, it becomes very clear to us. It becomes very clear to us that he who has enabled us, who saw us through our past problems, will also see us through our current problems. Reassurance all the time. The second benefit of this constant remembrance of Ramanama, as demonstrated by Hanuman, is in clarity of thought. When we constantly remember him, when we constantly chant the Ramanama, we attract his grace. His grace which dispels all darkness in the mind and illumines us. And when there is inner illumination, there is a lot more clarity. Clarity on our priorities. Because when we are on any journey, it is very important to get the priorities right. There are so many distractions, temptations that pull us away from the right path on this journey. Therefore, clarity on the priorities of life. clarity on the right goals. This is the second benefit. The third benefit is more miraculous, magical. Constant contemplation of Ramanama also magically reveals insights to us, whether we realize it or not. Revelations of insights. Insights that enable us to fix things to fix the problems and deal with things that cannot be fixed. Insights that are miraculous, which we may not be aware of. When we go along with Hanuman on this journey, we realize how constant contemplation on the glorious Ramanama, constant remembrance can really empower us, as it empowered Hanuman, with constant reassurance, clarity of thought in addressing the priorities, and miraculous, magical insights that are received whenever needed. And therefore, this fascinating journey of Hanuman is a great lesson on how we are empowered. We can stay empowered when we stay connected to Ramanama. The very beginning of Sundarakanda is very interesting. Valmiki begins Sundarakanda with a very interesting shloka. Valmiki writes, Tato Ravananitaya Sitaya Shatrukarshanaha Iyesha Adamanveshtum Charana Charite Pati. Hanuman Shatrukarshanaha, the conqueror of enemies, Hanuman, he started to travel, Valmiki says, in the sky. He's trapped in the sky, where normally celestials travel, where celestials tread. Now, this seems to be a very ordinary start to an extraordinary kanda. But if we carefully look at the way Valmiki chose to start, we will realize how extraordinary this kanda is. Valmiki chooses to start Sundarakanda with the Shabda Tat. Taditi Anabhisandhaya Phalam Yajna Tapah Kriyaha Dana Kriyascha Vividaha Kriyante Mokshakangshibihi. Krishna, in the 17th chapter of the Gita, declares the importance of beginning any yajna, dana, tapa, or for that matter, any kriya with the utterance of Tat Shabda. Tat Shabda stands for the Paramatma. Tat Shabda is an auspicious Shabda which stands for Paramatma and which has to be uttered whenever any deed which has the one and only goal of pleasing Bhagavan has to begin. All those who intend to achieve liberation, all those who have renounced worldly rewards, they begin any kind of kriya, Krishna says, with the Tat Shabda. Therefore, Valmiki chooses by design to begin Sundarakanda with Tat Shabda, essentially giving us a message that this is a great yajna. A yajna not just for worldly prosperity. This is a yajna to please Bhagavan. This is a yajna where the goal is only Bhagavan and nothing else. Mokshakankshini. This is those who are in mumukshus. Now, also, as Hanuman begins his journey, Valmiki also wants to begin his journey of recording the events with that auspicious Tat Shabda. Thus, Sundarakanda begins on a glorious note. Dushkaram nishpratitvanvam chikirshan karmavanaraha samudagra shirogriva gavam pratirivadbhaihi. Valmiki says, Dushkaram nishpratidvandvam, he says. Hanuman is attempting something which is Dushkara, almost impossible to achieve, something which nobody has achieved. Therefore, Hanuman's attempt here is something extraordinary, unheard of. Crossing the ocean, flying across, not an ordinary leap. And he says, Nishpratitvanvam, without any obstacles, he says. What is important here is to understand that it is not that all obstacles are going to disappear. As we are going to see, this journey, like every other journey, like a life journey, is filled with obstacles. We need to recognize the fact that being empowered by Bhagavan does not mean disappearance of obstacles. Being empowered by Bhagavan means persevering amidst obstacles. And that is the reason why Valmiki, right away, right at the beginning, clearly says, here there are going to be obstacles, but when he says without any obstacles which come in the way and stop the journey, that obstacles that prevent Hanuman from reaching his destination. So therefore, here Valmiki talks about how straight away Hanuman, the one who is not only taken up a task which is extraordinary and impossible, but he also foretells that Hanuman shall overcome, surmount all the obstacles. Plavanga pravarai drishtaha plavena krita nishchayaha vruddhe ramavidhyartam samudra iva parvasu. Like an ocean swelling on full moon days, Hanuman grew in size. No, we are going to see throughout Sundarakanda unparalleled similes. We are going to see Valmiki at his best, coming up with similes that are extraordinary in nature. Makes our experience of this Kanda very rich. Here is one simile where he says, samudra iva parvasu. Just like how an ocean swells on a full moon day, Hanuman grew in size. He grew in size and he started to engage in the task of taking the leap. But very clear, Hanuman is very clear. Rama Vridhyartam, it is for, he grew in size not to accomplish his task, not for his success, but for Rama's success, he says. Nishpramana Sharira San Leelanga Ishudvanam Vanam Bahubhyam Pidayamasa Charanabhyam Cha Parvatam. Hanuman grew his body and he started to exert force on the Mount Mahendra, pressed the mountain with his feet and started to exert pressure. Thus, tormented by Hanuman, the mountain, it seems, Mahendra began to shake. The beauty is, when the mountain began to shake, the mountain was filled with trees. trees of all kinds and trees with various kinds of fragrant flowers of all types and of all colors. And it seems when the mountain was pressed by Hanuman, the force of Hanuman, the mountain started to shake. And in an instant, all the trees started to shower flowers on the mountain. Tena padava muktena pushpaidhena sugandhina sarvata savrata shaila babhau pushpamayo yatha. Covered by all the flowers that all the trees showered on, it seems the mountain looked like not an ordinary mountain, but a mountain made of flowers. Visualize the beauty of a mountain of flowers. Possibly, this is also indicating that Hanuman begins his lead by worshipping Rama. Flowers are being showered and he's almost standing on a heap of flowers. Duduvecha saromani chakampe chachalopamaha nanada sumuhanadam sumuhaniva toyada. Hanuman begins to shake his body, this massive mountain-like body, and he starts to roar. The whole sight, a fascinating sight there. Hanuman himself is like a mountain in size, standing on another mountain, Mahendra. It is like Mahendra, the Mahendragiri is like Bhagavan in his Kurma Avatara, and Hanuman standing on Mahendragiri is like the Mount Mandara. It is like the Kshetrabdi being churned. Here also there is another kind of mathana happening as Hanuman is beginning to start the leap. This mathana is the mathana happening in the churning happening in Hanuman's mind. This journey of Hanuman, we will see mathana, churning happening in Hanuman, and just like how there were fascinating objects that came out during Kshetrabdi mathana, we are going to see fantastic outcomes, so many things coming out of the churning of Hanuman's mind, good and bad and ugly as well. And we are going to see how Hanuman eventually is able to discover the Amrita of all Amritas. So Hanuman is now fully focused, completely, slowly bending, exerting force on the Mount Mahendra, is getting ready, pausing for breath, completely focused on the destination with no other thought running in his mind other than Ramanama. And as he is about to take the leap, he addresses all the Vanaras. Hanuman makes an address. Yatha Raghava Nirmukta Sharat Shvasana Vikramaha. He starts off the address with a very profound statement. He says, Yatha Raghava Nirmuktaha Sharaha Shvasana Vikramaha Gachet Tvadat Gamishyami Lankam Ravana Palitam Nahi Drakshyami Editam Lankaya Janakatmaja Anene Vegena Gamishyami Suralayam Nidiva Tridive Sitam Draksham Yakshutam Krikshamaha Bhatva Rakshasa Rajanam Anayishyami Ravanam Sarvata Kritakaryoham Ameshyami Sahasitaya Anishyami Balankam Samyut Patya Saravanam. Hanuman looks at the Vanaras and says, I'm now on my way to Lanka. Just like how an arrow released by Rama, I'm going to go with the speed of the wind. I'm going to reach Lanka and I'm going to discover Sita. If Sita is not in Lanka, I'm going to fly all the way to Devaloka. And if she is not there as well, I'm not going to come back empty-handed. I'm going to uproot the entire kingdom of Lanka along with Ravana and bring all of that back again. I'm sure that I'm going to succeed in my endeavor. Saying so, Hanuman begins to fly. So what is important here? We see that there is a very significant, a profound lesson Hanuman teaches. Hanuman very clearly here begins the address saying, Yatha Raghava Nirmuktaha Sharaha Shvasana Vikramaha. The ocean that has to be crossed over, that has to be surmounted, represents our Dehabhimana. It is not easy, it is not an ordinary task to surmount this ocean of Dehabhimana. It is an impediment to overcome in life's journey. And how to overcome, to surpass this Dehabhimana? By realizing the fact that we are nothing but instruments in Bhagavan's hands. Now, this is exactly how Hanuman begins the journey. He says, Yatha Raghava Nirmuktaha Sharaha Shvasana Vikramaha. He says, I am nothing but an arrow in Rama's hands. Now, what Hanuman is conveying here, an arrow by itself cannot make any distance. It cannot go anywhere. It has no capabilities whatsoever, neither to begin the journey nor to complete the journey. The distance the arrow takes depends on the skill and strength of the shooter. Now, Hanuman says, I am just an arrow and I know I'm going to succeed. Why? Because I am an arrow shot by none other than Rama himself. So therefore, there is no question of failure here. It is Rama's power. It is not my ability that's going to take me across the ocean. It is not my ability that is going to be the cause of the success. It is Rama's power. I am just an arrow shot by Rama. And therefore, I know that Rama's arrow will see no failure whatsoever. That is the realization. That is what is the secret of Hanuman's success. And therefore, with that address, Hanuman leaps and starts to fly gloriously. And the moment he starts to fly, takes the leap, flying into the sky, everyone witnesses something spectacular, something very, a spectacle which is very magical. Valmiki records it beautifully. He says, Uruvego stita vriksha urtam kapimanvayuhu prastitam dirghamadvanam swabhandhaviva bandhavaha. With all force, mighty Hanuman takes a flight. And when he takes that flight with all the force from Mount Mahendra, it seems all the trees on the mountain, because of Hanuman's force, they all get uprooted. And as Hanuman flies into the sky, all the trees also start flying along with him because of the force of Hanuman. And Valmiki immediately writes, it's like all the trees are following Hanuman, just like how when relatives leave, everyone, the loved ones would follow them. When somebody embarks on a long journey, all near and dear would also give them a send-off by going along with them to some distance. Similarly, all the trees of Mount Mahendra are following Hanuman into the sky, sending him off. Tamuru vegon machitha salaschanye nagottamaha anujagmuhu hanumantam sainya iva mahipatim. And also, not only ordinary trees, even big strong trees like the Sala trees also get uprooted, and they're all following Hanuman into the sky. And Valmiki immediately says, all these large trees, strong trees, which got uprooted and are following Hanuman, just like how soldiers follow their king, just like that, all of them are following Hanuman to the sky. Kind of visualize the spectacular spectacle out there. Hanuman taking a massive leap with all force, and not only is the mountain shaking, all the trees of all kinds get uprooted and they're all following him into the sky. Supushpita great Bahubihi Padai Pararvintam Kapihi Hanuman Parvatakaro Babhuva Adbhuta Darshanaha. Babhuva Adbhuta Darshana. What a wonderful sight when all the well-flowered trees are also following Hanuman. And Valmiki says, with all these flowers also coming away from the trees, it seems Hanuman was also covered with all these flowers. Sanananu kusumaihi kirnaha kapihi sanka korakai shushubhe mekasamkashaha kadyote kairiva parvataha. It seems Hanuman, who was massive like a mountain, was shining, and with all the flowers on him, he was shining like a mountain shines with various kinds of fireflies. Lagutvenopapannam tadvichitram sagare patat drumanam vividham pushpam kapivayu susamiritam tarachita vivakasham prabhavaucha maharnavaha. The great ocean, the mountains, when all the trees were uprooted from the mountains and the flowers were also falling in the ocean as well. So when Hanuman was flying above the ocean, it seems the ocean was also filled with all kinds of different kinds of flowers and leaves and branches, and it seems the ocean was shining like a sky filled with stars. Valmiki writes, Ping Pingehe Pingaksha Mukyasya Brihati Parimandale Chakshushi Samprakasheta Chandra Surya Viboditao. Pinkaksha, reddish brown eyes. Hanuman's eyes are reddish brown in color. And as he started with all, very earnestly focused on his target, as Hanuman started to fly in the sky, Valmiki says his two eyes were shining, one like the sun and the other like the moon. Hanuman, it seemed like a boat, a massive boat sailing in the wind. His long shadow sprawled across the waters of the ocean. The sheer force of Hanuman zipping across the sky above the ocean, exerting force on the waters, and with that force, the waters begin to part ways, creating two tall waves as Hanuman was zipping across the ocean towards Lanka. Pravamanam tu tam drishtva pravangam varitam tada vavarshah pushpavarnani devagandharvadanava. The Devas, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Kinnaras all began to celebrate, glorify, worship Bhagavan or worship Hanuman as they see him flying across the sky effortlessly. Tatapanahitam suryaha plavantam anarottamam sishevacha tadavayu ramakaryatta siddhaye. Ram to Hanuman. Then Surya Bhagavan looked at Hanuman and then said, Hanuman is going for the sake of Ramakarya, Ramakaryatta Siddhyatam. Therefore, let me ensure that my rays are pleasant. The sun did not scorch Hanuman. As he was flying across, sun was shining very mildly, very pleasantly to avoid with the scorching heat that can in one way or the other impact Hanuman's journey towards Lanka. And at the same time, Vayu looked at Hanuman and said, let me serve him with a delightful breeze, because let us also, in a way, Surya, the sun, and the Vayu also said, let us also participate in Ramakarya and help Hanuman as he flies across the ocean. The great rishis, the sages praised the resplendent Hanuman as he was flying in the sky. Devas, Gandharas, Nagas, they were all singing his glories. What is interesting here is, in a way, this leap of Hanuman is also, this journey of Hanuman is in a way also his worship. This is the Kaikarya of Hanuman, which is a worship to Rama. And it is said that any worship to Bhagavan, in one way or the other, has to bring together the Panchabhutas. What we see here, Hanuman's expedition also involves every element, every gross element of nature. Every bhuta, all the 5 Panchabhutas are used in service of Rama. Rama Karyatta Siddhaye. In jumping over the ocean in a way represents the Apatattva. Hanuman is using the Apatattva as part of the service to Rama. He is using by flying with all force, he is also using the services of Vayu. The Vayu Tattva is being used. By blazing across the sky, he also uses the Akasha Tattva. And he is going to eventually meet Bhumi Suta, Sita Mata. And in a way, the Prithvi Tattva is also being used. And soon he is also going to set fire to Lanka by using the Agni Tattva. So therefore, this expedition of Hanuman in a way sees usage of all the Panchabhutas in Ramakainkariya. What is important to note here, as Hanuman begins this journey across the ocean, starts flying across, this journey also demonstrates how every journey is filled with obstacles. Hanuman is now soon start going to face all kinds of obstacles. He has a mission on hand. Every mission has to have obstacles. Same is the case in our life. Every mission that we undertake has obstacles. There is no point in wishing away obstacles. Every mission has three kinds of troubles: starting trouble, sustaining trouble, concluding trouble. Most often, the mission fails with the starting trouble itself. Most often, majority of the missions that we undertake fails because of the starting trouble. Because even before we start, there is a lack of confidence. There is a lack of confidence. Looking at the formidable nature of the mission, one is overawed. One is stressed out. There is a lack of adequate confidence even to start. Now, we see Hanuman had that starting trouble, but thanks to Jambavan, his confidence is instant. But we need to here understand the nature of Hanuman's confidence. Now, we all talk about the need for self-confidence. But many a times, self-confidence alone is not adequate, because self-confidence is confidence in oneself, which is also limited. Therefore, our confidence should come from not who we are, but whose we are. This is what Hanuman teaches. It is not self-confidence that is required. More importantly, what is required is God confidence, if we were to use the word, a phrase. So therefore, first and foremost, for overcoming any starting trouble which Hanuman had and which he surmounted, is to have that God confidence, a confidence which comes from not who we are, but whose we are. I belong to Rama. I am nothing but Ramabana, just an arrow of Rama, and therefore the mission can never face failure. The other important obstacle that comes in our way all the time is the obstacle of the first step. Always, it is by design that we always see a huge gap in our journey, any journey. Huge gap between where we are and where we want to be. In our life, at any stage in life, we always see this huge gap between where we are and where we want to be. And therefore, when we take up the mission to get to where we want to be, there is always this question of that first step, the all-important first step that needs to be taken, that leap of faith. And that leap of faith has to always start with ardent prayers. This is what Hanuman teaches us as he takes that giant leap of faith, crossing over the ocean. In a way, in the journey that we all undertake, prayers become very, very significant for preparing our mind, a prerequisite for adequate mental preparation that Hanuman teaches. And now the starting troubles are overcome, surmounted, and Hanuman is now flying high in the sky, gloriously flying in the sky above the ocean towards Lanka. Tasmin Plavaga Chadhule Plavamane Hanumati Ikshwaku Kulamanathim Chintayamasa Sagara. Sagara, the lord of the ocean, Samudra Raja, looked at Hanuman. Samudra Raja earlier missed the opportunity to serve Rama. When Ravana abducted Sita and was taking her in Pushpaka Vimana, crossing Samudra, Samudra Raja had an opportunity to serve Rama by stopping Ravana. But Samudra Raja was in fear of Ravana, did nothing to stop him. So therefore, Samudra Raja missed out a golden opportunity to be in service to Rama. But now, Samudra Raja, looking at Hanuman, realizes that now he has one more opportunity to serve Rama by serving Hanuman. By serving Hanuman, Samudra Raja looks at Hanuman, and as Hanuman is flying across the ocean, he thinks to himself, Saharyam Vanarendrasya Yadinaham Hanumataha Karishyami Bhavishyami Sarvavachyo Vikshatam. I think this is the time for me to help Hanuman. Starts to think, if I don't help Hanuman now, people only speak ill of me all the time. Already I did the wrong thing by not doing anything when Ravana crossed the ocean, taking Sita all across. Now this is the time. Tathamaya vidhatavyam vishrametat yatha kapihi shesham chamai vishrantaha sukenati patishyati. I have to do something in such a way that Hanuman can take rest. Poor Hanuman is exerting himself with a lot of force flying across. It's not an ordinary feat. He has to expend a lot of energy and he will need some rest. And therefore, I shall have to do something so that he can cross the remaining distance without failing. And therefore, Samudra Raja began to think, how can I be of help to Hanuman and provide him rest? Iti kritva matim sadhvim samudraschannabhi ambhasi hiranyanabham mainaka uvacha girisattamam. Samudra Raja, thinking of this, started to speak to Mainaka, the best among mountains, which has all of the middle part of Mainaka. The mountain is filled with gold, made of gold. A spectacular mountain hidden under the ocean. So Samudra Raja, thinking of how to serve Hanuman, make him rest, now addresses Mount Mainaka. Tiryagurdhvam adaschaiva shaktiste shailavadhitum tasmat samchodhyami tvam uttishta girisattama. Uttishta girisattama. Hey Mainaka, rise up. It is you who can possibly provide a place for Hanuman to take rest. You have the capability to grow. You have that unique capability to grow wide and also grow up or down. Therefore, I request you to grow in size, to become tall and provide a place for rest to Hanuman. Nayesha kapishadula tvam uparyeti viryavan Hanumannam akaryartham bhimakarma kamaplutaha. The Hanuman, the best amongst the Vanaras, the most courageous one who has taken up this mission for the benefit of Rama. That Hanuman is flying in the sky. He needs rest and he is coming towards you. This is the time. He is serving Hanuman, who belongs to the Ikshwaku dynasty. And it is my duty and your duty to serve the glorious lineage of the Ikshwaku dynasty. And this is an opportunity for me, an opportunity for you to serve Hanuman, and in that process serve Rama, and in that process serve the lineage of Ikshwakus. Salila dhurdvamuttishta tishtatvesha kapisvayi asmakavati apittichaiva ujjasta plavatam varaha. Rise up from the water. This Hanuman is the one who needs to be worshipped, and therefore give him space, let him stand on you. It looks like Samudra Raja completely mistook. He did not really understand the situation adequately. He thought Hanuman would get tired like every other ordinary, Vanara, and therefore he summoned the services of the golden Mainaka, the mountain of comforts. Mainaka, the mountain, is known for mountain of comforts. It has adequate supply of all kinds of food and water and beautiful places for people to relish and relax. And therefore, it is also known as a mountain of comforts which lulls to sleep anyone who sets foot on it. Therefore, Samudra Raja thought that Hanuman needs some rest. Possibly he needs to take a quick power nap on this mountain, and therefore he summons to serve Mainaka to serve Hanuman. Suddenly, the blue sky gets a shade of resplendent gold. Hanuman is astonished to see the sudden change on the horizon, the change in the hue of the sky, piercing out of the deep ocean. Right in the middle of the ocean arises the glorious golden mountain of Mainaka, which starts to grow bigger and bigger in size. And Hanuman was flying at a high speed and did not manage to stop at the right moment, and his chest collides with the highest peak, and almost he comes to a standstill. Tamustitam asangena Hanumanagratasthitam madhye lavanato yasya vignoyamiti nischitaha. Hanuman looks at this mountain, even though it is very inviting, a beautiful mountain with beautiful places to rest and all kinds of trees and flowers, very attractive in nature. Hanuman immediately recognizes that this is an obstacle in his way, and Mainaka addresses Hanuman. Mainaka addresses Hanuman and requests him to take rest. It says, Hanuman, it is time for you to rest. I offer you my services, and I also offer you all kinds of roots, fruits, delicious food that you can partake before you continue. What else can be a greater temptation for a monkey? Delicious food being offered. And here, Mainaka, the mountain Mainaka, which comes in the way, is a great obstacle. An obstacle which comes disguised in the form of temptation. Obstacles come in various forms, various ways of distracting us. This temptation here is too very difficult for an ordinary Vanara to overcome. But Hanuman is a sthita prajna. Thani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha. Vashehi yasyendriyastani tasya prajna pratishtita. Hanuman knows how to say no to temptations. Hanuman knows the best way. Just like how in the Gita, Krishna describes the characteristics of sthita prajna, Hanuman knows the best way to say no to temptations is to say yes to Rama. When we say yes to Rama, we automatically say no to temptations. Hanuman, we will see, easily overcomes the temptation here, which has come in the form of mountain Mainaka. This is just one of those obstacles that come in the way of Hanuman's journey. How Hanuman effortlessly surmounts all these obstacles, and not only we have seen him overcoming starting troubles, we will also see him overcoming the sustaining troubles and the closing troubles in any journey, and successfully completes the journey of taking the leap across the ocean. As Hanuman keeps flying towards Lanka, let us also journey along with him, contemplating on the glories of the greatest Bhakta, Hanuman. Buddhirbhalam yashodhairyam nidhayatvam arogata ajatyam vakpututvancha hanumat smaranad bhavet. Jai Shri Ram.